Welcome to the Fierce and Fit Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐘𝐨𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐻, a holistic health coach dedicated to helping women over 40 achieve their fittest, fiercest selves. Each week, we'll dive deep into the unique challenges of menopause, including belly fat, weight gain, muscle building, hormonal imbalances, and more. These episodes are recorded live from my free Facebook group, Fierce Women Sculpting Powerful Bodies and Champion Mindsets. Be sure to check the link in the show notes to join our incredible community and access free content, challenges, and resources designed just for you. So this is live number 196, but it is the 5th episode within this year. And it is actually the 5-part series from my Fierce Women Workbook, meaning this is the last of the 5 for that Fierce Women Workbook, which is my exact formula and blueprint of how I help women over 40 and in their menopause stages achieve their leanest, fittest bodies. So if you don't have that Fierce Women Workbook, make sure you put a gift below, okay? This is the last of the 5-part series. All right, so let's do a little bit of intro. Okay, so this is the Fierce Women community where we sculpt powerful bodies and champion mindsets. So we are the premier space for women above 40 to get through the premenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal stages to learn how to lose fat, build muscles, balance their hormones, and achieve it in the most holistic way possible. And I love creating a space where women feel safe that they can be their best version of themselves. I'm going to celebrate some wins here. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to Dana Marie and Cecilia Baker. They both joined the BioRevive program, and I'm super excited for them. I know Dana starting on Monday, and then Cecilia starting in a few weeks here. So give them lots of hearts. The BioRevive system is awesome for healing your gut and bringing down the belly fat. I also want to give a shout out to Zeta Santiago, who has been with me a long time. She did the FFF program. She did the BioRevive program. And now she's decided to make the leap to do the transformation program, which is the one-on-one program. So I'm super proud of her because I know she said, I have to be honest with myself. I'm not moving forward and I need to get help now. So super proud of you. Give her lots of hearts, balloons, whatever that comes up to be in the reactions there. Okay. And now I also want to give a shout out to Dana Mae King, who started her transformation program about a week ago, and she's already lost 6 inches from her waist. So she lost 6 inches from like her hips and her waist in 1 week. So super, super awesome. So proud of you, Dana, from bringing down inflammation markers in her system. Sharon 𝐘𝐻𝐿𝐻 also did about a week and a little bit in my transformation program, and her belly went from like this down to like this, and it was pretty amazing to see it in the pictures. And she's dropped already like a pound or 2 from the week, but it was more the belly that I was super concerned about. And Hope Metwa as well, I want to give her a shout out. She's also in the transformation program, and her goal was to gain weight because she got very, very sick. And so she's gained 5 to 6 pounds now. So we're so proud of her because she got so sick and she lost so much weight. She was like stick skinny, and she actually has curves coming back in. So we were really happy for her. We said she needs to post a post like, I feel like a woman, because she actually has some hips and some curves coming back into her body while maintaining a flat stomach. So the key is the healthy nutrition, because she's gaining weight, but in the right way. So super proud of you, Hope. So let's actually dive into like mindset being your superpower, right? It's your invisible superpower because you don't really see it. It's in your brain. So what we're going to talk about today is actually not what you think. Sometimes you think of mindset and you're like, okay, I know what 𝐘𝐿𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐻 will talk about. But today I'm actually going to talk a little bit about mindset from the standpoint of like quantum physics, neurotransmitters, hormones, gut-brain axis, nutrition, and then of course the regular type of mindset things. So we're going to actually dive into some really deep dive things here. So make sure you're taking notes, make sure you're tuning in, because there's a lot of really cool things coming in this live. So first we're going to dive into mindset as a quantum physics. So in terms of the mindset as a quantum physics, okay, is to look at what actually produces thoughts, what actually produces emotions in your body. And as you know, Clarice is a little bit geeky this way. I believe there's science behind everything. There's some things that are not explainable, which is the spiritual realm. However, I do believe there's a lot of things you can actually explain. And so one of the first things is to understand, what is a thought? How is a thought created in your brain? So a thought is created in your brain through an electrical impulse where it is sent through, the axons of the neurons, okay? And how does that happen? It has to do with your sodium, potassium, cellular structure, where they like change the ions, and it's ion charge that pushes through your cells, okay? So getting a little bit sciencey, but then it pushes an electrical signal that sends it down the axon to your synapses, and then it releases a neurotransmitters or neurotransmitters into the postsynaptic neuron to conduct the electrical signal through, okay? That is how a thought is created, okay? So the first thing is understanding, okay, there's real chemical things that are happening in order for you to produce thought, in order for you to have different mindset things that are going on. The other thing is to understand what is emotions. Emotions, if you actually understand the word emotion, is emotion, which actually means energy in motion, meaning it's actually energy movement. There's actually energy in the brain, the neurotransmitter, the electrical charges that is causing that emotion to be what it is, okay? So this is the first thing, is the science behind your thoughts, the science behind your emotions. So what we're going to talk about is some very interesting research that has been done in regards to thought and mindset that is a constant research. Of course, there's going to be some that will challenge that thought process or those research, and you can take it for what it is and just learn from it, right? Apply what you can. So the first law of dynamics says essentially that energy is not created or destroyed. It is only changed from one form to another. So for example, when there's a lightning that strikes the ground, it may turn into fire, right? So that lightning energy became fire, or the fire, whatever, the energy transfers to the ground could become an electrical signal from the ground to your home, right? So energy is transferred. So we know that actually mindset and emotions is actually energy. What you have to understand is your thoughts and your emotions produce a lot of different kinds of energy and different levels of vibration. This is extremely important because what you think, what you do on a day-to-day basis, whether you have those self-sabotaging thoughts, it affects your energy level, your metabolism, your hormones, etc., etc. So self-sabotaging thoughts, just so you guys know, is like kind of like the feelings and what you actually like, what are things that stops you in your mindset? Like, I'm too old. I feel like I can never get to my goal, or like thought process that you have, or like menopause is so hard, right? So thoughts that you feel like you struggle with, that is kind of what I'm talking about, right? So jumping back over to here, so there was a groundbreaking kind of research done by Dr. David R. Hawkins. He, at the Institute of Neuroscience, he actually did a research on creating what's called the consciousness field. The consciousness field, actually, he put numbers to different emotions, which are electrical charge to different emotions, okay? Which is in hertz, right? Because we measure energy in hertz. He, through applied kinesiology, what he did is he measured people's energy strength and muscle strength based on the emotions that they had. And he was able to come up with numbers of how much energy is produced from each emotion, okay? So this is really cool because when you actually understand the type of emotion you have will actually determine how you feel in energy, how much strength you even have in the gym, and vitality and all of that. He found that like the top energy, the top like really high hertz is actually the mentality of enlightenment. Okay. When you're enlightened and you feel like you're at that next level, that is the highest. And I'm going to give you all the ones that he then went down in energy hertz. Okay. So peace was next at 600 hertz. Joy was at 540 hertz. Love was at 500 hertz. Reasoning, like in logical mode, is 400 hertz. Acceptance is at 350 hertz. Willingness is at 310 hertz. Neutrality is 250 hertz. Courage is at 200 hertz. So these are energy waves, like as in like when they measured it. Pride is 175. Anger is 150. So notice as these emotions starts to drop and they're getting into negative emotions, what's happening to the hertz. Anger is 150 hertz. Desire is 125 hertz. Fear is 100 hertz. Grief is 75 hertz. Apathy is 50 hertz. And guilt is 30 hertz. And the lowest energy frequency, and this applies to some of you because I actually know you well, is shame. Shame is 20 hertz, and that is the lowest energy frequency that is emitted by your cells and neurons and all of that. And your energy comes a lot from, if you sit into your higher emotions, you will produce a lot more positive energy, positive electrical charges, leading to more positive excretion of good neurotransmission, which means better hormones. So this is very important because if you are someone who tends to sit in maybe frustration, anger, grief, sadness, shame, guilt, those lower kinds of emotions, you need to be very, very careful because that often can lead to, poor signaling in your body, poor neurotransmission. And no one's surprised that typically those emotions lead more to potentially poor behavior, eating bad things, maybe less motivation to exercise, and potentially leading to more diseases and all of that. So this is part of the reason that you have to really work on increasing your vibrational energy. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how and why you need to increase your vibrational energy. The research that this doctor did, obviously with any research paper, it's going to face positive and criticism. And one of the things that they did say is, like, of course, when he did his studies, it's a plot, like muscle contractions, energy force based on the emotions the person actually experienced. That they were saying, like, well, it's hard to measure because everybody's like muscular contraction is maybe slightly different. It can vary from person to person, as well as they said, like, because emotions is such a abstract type thing, it could be inaccurate to assign a number to it. So I just want to make sure I kind of say that to you. So there is criticism on the study. However, I think it's very cool to understand that you and I also know when you're around people with higher vibrational energy, people who have positivity, you feel more positive vibrations. You do feel like there's more energy in the room. When you're around people who are like low energy, or there's something like not good, you feel a low energy, which is true. So just take it with a grain of salt in regards to this, okay? So how do we actually make sure that we change this vibrational energy? And this is all in quantum physics, right? In that they talk about how do you actually change the waves, the energy waves, because we know that waves, energy, can be small, it can be big, and we know it can be changed. Just think about auditory sounds. Auditory sounds can go higher, lower, bigger, smaller. And so it means your energy, your mindset can be changed on how those waves go based on the things you do. So we're going to talk about a few aspects of this, okay? So how do you achieve higher vibrational energy? One is breath work and meditation. So you're not surprised, this is a mindset live, and that is why so many people are focused in like yoga, breath work, meditation. And as a menopausal woman, I speak a lot about controlling your cortisol, right? So you want to really ensure you focus on things like diaphragmatic breathing. There's a method called box breathing, which is you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you don't breathe in for 4 seconds. It's called the 4-4-4-4 method. There's ways to breathe to regulate your system, and meditate, yoga, all those things that really control your cortisol level, your oxygen level, is really important to increase the vibrational energy. Number 2 is to make sure that you move and strength train. So again, those of you who, might move a little bit, which is good, but don't strength train, you're also taking away a lot of potential for vibrational increase in your body. That is why everybody who works out always feels better, right? So the thing is, if you strength train, you will help raise up your hormones, like I said last week, right? Boost testosterone, growth hormone. And if you go for walks, which I know a lot of you go for walks, it helps to lower your cortisol, increase serotonin. So movement helps increase vibrational frequency. Number 3, how you eat also supports vibrational frequency and how your mindset and your body is. So I talk a lot about this, but your quality of food, what you eat into your body really affects your body and what is secreted in terms of hormones and neurotransmitters. So if you want to have better kinds of neurotransmission, you need to make sure you have really good protein, really good fat, and lots of magnesium rich things like green leafy vegetables, even like a little bit of dark chocolate, not too much sugar, but can help with the magnesium. So you want to make sure that you have lots of good quality whole foods. As I was saying to all my new transformation clients, I know we talked about this, about cook your food, because there's so many things that are in your food that you don't want. And you need to ensure really good quality protein, fats, and things like that to ensure better vibration of the energy sources. The next thing is you want to make sure that you have daily rituals for lasting transformation, meaning you want to have good daily things that you do. So like gratitude every day, making sure that you have, reprogram your self-talk, constantly monitor your mind. And, another thing is to always get around high vibrational energy people. So high vibrational energy people, you just know, you get around them and you are people like, I want to get around you more, because you bring amazing energy. Now we're going to move into the next thing here. The next thing we're going to do is the neurotransmission. We're going to talk more specifically, so away from quantum physics, although it's connected, into neurotransmitters, okay? So neurotransmitters is all about what is secreted from those synapses, right? So what are you secreting in those synapses from one synapse to the other, okay? So this is the thing we want to understand, is that negative emotions create neurotransmission depletion, which leads to hormonal chaos, which leads to a slower metabolism. Okay. So again, remember I talked about the frequency and the different hertz of high emotional vibration to low emotional vibration. When you have lower vibrational energy, negative emotions, your neurotransmitters, those molecules, deplete. And then when they deplete, they are going to cause hormone chaos and slower metabolism. Now, if you have more positive emotions, neurotransmission is better. There's better balance, which we call hormonal harmony. And when your body is in the good hormonal state, that is when you can create fat burning in your body. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why I actually say a lot of you who I coach that your first number of weeks when I work with you is to heal your body. Because if you don't heal your body and you don't put your body into a hormonal balance state, no matter whether you have a calorie or macros or whatnot, like you're not healed and your hormones are chaotic. And that hormone chaos makes it very difficult for your body to get into fat burning mode, right? Like for me, a lot of people will always say, like after, they meet me, they're like, you're very high vibration energy individual. And that's probably because when you think about all those emotions, I like to sit in, love, peace, joy, acceptance, and willingness to learn, like all those really high vibrational emotions. I like to sit there. And as you know, I love learning. So I love to reach a new level of enlightenment all the time, right? So this means for you, this is applicable to you. You can bring yourself to a different state. And in fact, that there is actually high vibrational coaches who teaches these things and have helped people actually learn how to achieve their goals by changing and shifting their energy within their system. So it's actually really quite cool in regards to this. So now let's go back to neurotransmission, okay? So we're going to go through a few of the key emotions and what does it mean for the neurotransmitter effect, okay? So it's still sciencey, but it relates to your mindset. Number one, stress and anxiety. Now, when you have stress and anxiety, you are increasing cortisol, neurotransmission, and decreasing serotonin. These are both neurotransmitters, okay? So you increase cortisol, decrease serotonin when you're stressed and anxious. The hormonal impacts of this means that it will increase belly fat and it will slow your metabolism down. And this will further cause, in terms of physical response, poor sleep, cravings, and fatigue. Okay. So if you are experiencing any of these, poor sleep, cravings, or fatigue, you need to now go back to, am I stressed and am I anxious? Okay, so this is the first thing I want you to audit in your own brain. If you struggle with any of those physical responses, like I talked about, like poor sleep or cravings or fatigue, that may be the reason, the root is stress and anxiety. Something I say is, yes, menopause causes a lot of switches in your body, but a lot of it can be controlled through food, nutrition, workouts, and your mindset. So that's what today's live is to identify that, right? The second emotion we're going to talk about is anger and frustration. I have a friend who used to say, I always get road rage. And I'm like, it's not worth it. Like, to put your system into that kind of state is not worth it, you know? Anger and frustration. What does this do in neurotransmission? It will increase your adrenaline and decrease dopamine. Okay, so now it's taking up the adrenaline pump and take down your dopamine. Dopamine is very important for feel-good hormones, for motivation, etc. Okay, so when you are angry and adrenaline pumps up, your blood sugar will actually spike. And what does this mean? So when your blood sugar spikes, it has the possibility of creating more insulin resistance, right? Because when adrenaline pumps, it opens up all of basically your cells actually will kind of like stop absorbing those glucose, and then it will like keep more sugar in the bloodstream. So more sugar in the bloodstream, as you know, causes a lot of damaging effects. It could cause hardening of the arteries. It can cause more belly fat to be deposited. It can lead to pre-diabetes and potential diabetes. And so this will lead to, in physical response, potentially weight gain and mood swings. Okay. So again, if you're gaining weight a lot, if you have a lot of mood swings, and I know from coaching people that this is actually true. If you tend to be an angrier person, or you get frustrated really easily, like you just are like, you go off the charts. And I've dealt with clients like this where it's like, it's real hard to coach them because they are so frustrated so easily. And that you need to monitor yourself, because when you have those types of emotions, you're causing your own demise. You're causing yourself to gain weight. You're causing yourself to have those mood swings because you're changing the response of adrenaline and dopamine and those blood sugar spikes, right? I know a lot of women get frustrated very easily. So staying calm is very important. Okay. Now, the next emotion we're going to talk about is more the good types of emotions, gratitude and joy. What this will do is it will increase serotonin and it will increase dopamine. Okay. So serotonin and dopamine both goes up. This is excellent because all of these neurotransmitters are really in charge of motivation, energy, like better metabolism. And actually dopamine and serotonin will lower your cortisol. So if you can sit into more the realm of gratitude and joy, you're going to actually see better fat loss and better digestion overall. Okay. So you want to be in the zone of gratitude and joy. The next emotion is love and connection. Obviously, this produces good serotonin neurotransmission in actually oxytocin and DHEA. DHEA is a very important precursor hormone to either estrogen and testosterone or cortisol. Now, you need DHEA in order to have better like estrogen and testosterone production in your body. Okay. So when you have more community, more love, and you care about people more, that's why I love the Fierce Women community. And it's something that, I know all our angels really stand behind. The philosophy is to serve every lady, every woman with love. Sometimes we have different people who may be rude to us or whatever, but we are always saying, nope, we're going to always meet you with love, because that is the most important thing we want this community to display. And in doing that, we create a community where you can feel safe, where you have maybe more love, more connection. The BioRevive system, when you're in that community, you feel like you're part of a group. You're like, wow. And that helps increase all the better hormones to help you balance hormones, boost fat burning, and it will help you create more energy and better lean muscle just because of better neurotransmission, right? Because better DHEA means better estrogen and testosterone, which means better potential for muscle building. As a menopausal woman, you need to really pay attention to this. Get out, get the connections, go out and do things that make you have joy, happiness, and all of that, because it has a real neurotransmission effect and hormonal effect in your body. We're going to go to the next thing here. So hormonal imbalance and the mind-body connection. So we're going to now dive into hormones more specifically. But remember, hormones come from neurotransmission. I'm just kind of going in like molecular levels. First, quantum physics with atoms, with energy production, to neurotransmitters, the little molecules that move between the neuron synapses, to now the hormones that are now excreted due to the neurotransmission. So we're moving in order of the kind of micro to macro levels. So in terms of hormone imbalance, okay, in terms of emotions, when you have chronic stress, like I said, you will raise your cortisol in your system. So the stress producing hormone, cortisol can be the neurotransmitter, or it can also become part of that hormone production. When you have high cortisol, this leads to fat storage, cravings, and energy crashes. When you have low dopamine, so when your dopamine starts to drop, you will lack motivation and energy, making it harder to stay consistent with workouts and healthy habits. If you struggle to stay on track, to stay motivated for your workouts, to stay on track to a program, you struggle potentially with low dopamine. Okay. This is very common for majority of women I coach, and it is potentially from this neurotransmission that you don't have or are lacking. So another thing before I dive into low dopamine is low serotonin. They're very close, kind of like relatives of each other, okay? But low serotonin will lead to mood instability, poor digestion, and sleep issues. And this will then impact your metabolism. So how many of you find you have mood swings, poor digestion, and sleep issues? If you have that, you potentially have low serotonin. Okay, low dopamine means lack of motivation and energy and lack of consistency. Low serotonin is potentially mood instability, poor digestion, and sleep issues, which will impact your metabolism. You might have both because they're very closely related. They're relatives of each other. So let's actually talk about this. What causes low dopamine and low serotonin? Okay. So let's talk about actually when you have low dopamine, low serotonin, this will lead to a whole bunch of things. So I'm going to tell you the symptoms first, and then we're going to go into the causes. So yes, you will have low energy and fatigue, mood swings, anxiety, depression, potentially cravings for sugar, junk food, or alcohol, poor sleep and brain fog, struggles with weight gain, especially belly fat. Doesn't that sound a lot like a lot of the things we talk about in menopausal symptoms? But it is beyond that, because I remember one of the lives or a few lives I spoke about this is it isn't just because of menopausal symptoms or your age that you are experiencing what you're experiencing. You are experiencing what you're experiencing because of the choices you choose to make in your lifestyle and the way you eat, live, exercise, move. It's all due to a lot of the choices you make, because on a micro level, it's due to less neurotransmission of certain things, right? So this is something for you to start to think about. So let's talk about the causes of low dopamine, low serotonin. So number one, chronic stress and high cortisol. Okay. Chronic stress and high cortisol creates dopamine depletion and serotonin depletion, which I talked about above. So your chronic stress, if you're stressed all the time and you can't relax, then all of that, those neurotransmission comes down. So no motivation, low drive, fatigue. If you have dopamine depletion, if you have serotonin depletion, it's mood swings, anxiety, and low emotional resilience. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second reason is poor diet and nutrient deficiencies. So if you are low in protein and you do not eat enough protein, there is two compounds you need called tryptophan and tyrosine. Those are very essential to dopamine and serotonin. You need the amino acids to make that protein. Okay. So dopamine and serotonin need tryptophan and tyrosine. Okay. So you need to ensure you have enough protein, which is why I always talk about macros and knowing your macros, having your percentages, making sure you have enough protein in your body. Low magnesium is another possibility, and being deficient in things like vitamin Bs, zinc, omegas, all of these could potentially cause low dopamine, low serotonin. As well, if you have too much sugar and processed foods. So too much sugar and processed foods will actually spike dopamine and serotonin temporarily, but then it will cause a crash. So when it crashes, that crash actually leads to eventually a depletion of serotonin and dopamine. Okay. So poor nutrition and diet is a very common cause of low dopamine and serotonin. It's very common for women. They eat not enough protein or not enough of certain supplements, or that they eat a lot of cravings, sweets, sugars, fun foods that actually are spiking their serotonin and dopamine in the moment, but over long term, it's creating a very low overall depletion of that neurotransmission. If you are finding you have very low dopamine and serotonin, your nutrition may need to, you need to be more conscious of the macros, which I talked about, and as well as inflammation markers, as well as understanding supplementation. The next thing is low dopamine and serotonin can come from gut health imbalance. So gut health imbalance is huge. I mean, this topic, I did multiple lives, and I probably will do another one relating to this, but 95% of your serotonin is made in the gut. Okay. 95% of serotonin is in your gut. So guess what? If you have poor gut health, gut inflammation reduces dopamine receptor sensitivity. So meaning it cannot actually uptake dopamine, making you feel less motivated. So if you don't eat well, you are nutrient deficient, you don't have proper macro balances, you have high inflammation in your system, potential leaky gut syndrome in your body, in your gut, which usually is indicated by bloating, by potential belly fat and weight gain around kind of that midsection, you potentially have gut health imbalance, and this greatly affects your serotonin balance and your dopamine, although serotonin is the biggest in the gut. This is one of the reasons why I created BioRevive System. BioRevive System is specifically really targeted to gut health. That is like the number one thing I am working on with the ladies in that program. My own personal transformation clients, they get the individual feedback to heal their gut and then get into like macro numbers and muscle building, right? They get a little bit more, but gut health is like number one. I cannot tell you, if you don't heal your gut and have really good digestion and good balance in your gut microbiome, there are so many things it will affect for you. It will affect your metabolism. It will cause you to potentially gain weight. It will cause nutritional deficiency. It will cause potential inflammation in your system, leading to potential chronic diseases. I mean, I can go on and on about gut health being so important. You need to correct that. Work hard at making sure your gut health is prime. Okay, prime. So make sure you put gut health if you know you need more help there. Next thing, if you will have low dopamine and serotonin if you lack sunlight and vitamin D. Now you know this and I know it because I live in an area that's not very warm. So lack of sunlight, you will have low serotonin because sunlight boosts serotonin production. And sunlight makes you feel happier because, again, it helps you produce more and more of that serotonin. And dopamine needs vitamin D to be, produced. So you need the sunlight, you need vitamin D to create more serotonin and more dopamine. So lack of sunlight and low vitamin D is a cause, okay? And that's why seasonal depression is quite common. Now, number 5 for low dopamine and low serotonin is potentially poor sleep and sedentary lifestyle. So again, dopamine is the neurotransmission for motivation, energy, and focus. Lack of sleep leads to lower dopamine levels, so it lowers. So if you can't sleep well, you don't have good sleeping patterns, then you have lower dopamine. Serotonin is in charge of calm, good mood, restful sleep, right? So if you don't have serotonin, you'll struggle to produce like melatonin, leading to sleep issues. Like I said, if you have low serotonin and dopamine, you're going to have problems on multiple ends. So how do you help yourself sleep better is actually doing strength training and regularly walking. Okay. If you don't strength train or don't have a really good program in regards to this, you need it to help your serotonin and dopamine have a bigger boost. And of course, regularly walking, just moving more, right? So again, sleep has a big impact on dopamine, serotonin. The next thing is what I speak about a lot, which is hormonal imbalance. So dopamine and serotonin will decrease because of estrogen dropping. Yes. When estrogen starts to drop, dopamine and serotonin drop because they rely on estrogen a little bit. So that is kind of why. Yes, menopause, there's a lot of shift. You're going to already start to feel less good. Dopamine, serotonin comes down. And this is why you need to be even more conscious of all the lifestyle things you do and your mindset, those thoughts and thought patterns you have, to try to maintain and boost dopamine and serotonin as much as possible to counteract the drop of estrogen. Okay. And as well as you move into potentially menopause, your thyroid function will start to potentially decrease. This leads to fatigue, mood swings, and brain fog. And thyroid function is very much connected to estrogen, to insulin, to cortisol, and then the thyroid, as I spoke about on my hormone live. So if you have not watched my hormone live, you should put hormone below because I speak about 10 hormones you really need to know. And thyroid is impacted as you age. So to kind of really monitor that carefully. Okay. So another way you will drop dopamine and serotonin is too much caffeine, too much nicotine, and too much alcohol. Okay. Coffee, caffeine is, I know people drink it. I drink a little bit too, but try to control it as much as possible. Nicotine is from smoking. So if you smoke, this could be a possibility of low dopamine, low serotonin. And if you enjoy that alcohol, I have a few clients who quite enjoy their alcohol. You also want to be careful about that. And then the one last thing that causes low dopamine and serotonin is social isolation and lack of joyful activities. So dopamine thrives on novelty, learning, and achievement. That's probably why Clarice loves like learning, growing, and achieving the next level on something, because we want that dopamine, right? I'm always wanting to grow. Like, how can I learn to drum? How can I learn Olympic lifting? How can I learn powerlifting? How can I get better at my dance? How can I learn more about business? How can I learn, like, if you are in a growth mode, it's like people who are growth minded, who are really excited to learn all the time, they have higher dopamine, right? And so this is something for you to keep in mind. And then serotonin thrives on connection, gratitude, and calm. So if you want to have more serotonin, you need to connect with others. This is why I encourage all you ladies, often I say, like, encourage other women. Next week there's the Valentine Ready Challenge, and there's some things that I'm going to have you do in there. There's a reason for it, and to increase the serotonin, to increase your connection, encourage other ladies. I always tell my clients to celebrate their wins in my group. And that's one of the reasons. If you want to be more successful in your journey, you need to involve other people. You need to celebrate your wins. You need to have more gratitude. You need to stay connected with each other. Just like in the BioRevive system, those ladies are really bonding in that group right now because recently we had some shifts and I had a talk with them about accountability. They just bonded more and they're just keeping each other accountable. Try to not socially isolate and try to get yourself more doing like fun activities and things that bring joy in your life. Okay. So now we're going to dive into food. So what is the effect of food on kind of your gut and the gut brain axis? Okay. So one of the things I speak a lot about is that there is a gut brain kind of connection where whatever you eat, it will eventually travel up to your brain. Okay. And so your brain is like, like a high-end sports car. It needs premium fuel to make it run and for it to function properly. But people who tend to eat really high refined sugars, a lot of inflammatory foods, as I spoke about, processed foods, create incredible inflammation, oxidative damage in your brain. And this causes massive neurotransmission imbalances. Okay. So the gut-brain axis, again, in this live, I'm not going to dive, you could write a whole book on it. The gut-brain axis is pretty complex, but you have to understand that if you struggle with mood swings, depression, brain fog, and if you have potential, like in seeing maybe your mom or parents have dementia, things like that, Alzheimer's, these all come from a lot of inflammation in the brain where the myelin sheath, the white sheath on the neurons get broken down. You need the myelin sheath on those neurons to have better, faster transmission and better brain function. So if you don't watch what you eat, just like I always say, you are going to really damage more than your gut. You will damage your brain. And once you damage your brain, unfortunately, there's a lot behind that where it's not easy to fix that. Don't blame age. Understandably, we know things will change as you get older, as you go through menopause. But I have met many very, very sharp people in their older age. But I've also met many people who are really cognitively declining quite quickly when they're older. And that is because of their nutrition, of what they're doing to their gut system. Okay. So these are very important because a lot of times, women tell me, Clarice, I know people say hot flashes or trouble sleeping is the common menopausal symptoms. I don't have any of that. And I said, that's okay. You don't have to have the exact same symptoms. It's not about the hot flashes as being the definitive or lack of sleep being definitive. You may manifest it through other things like lack of brain clarity, losing your train of thought, having poor memory, having a lot of mood swings. One moment you're this high, next moment you're down here, having a lot of this type of fluctuation. The craziest part is probably because of how you eat, which is crazy, but amazing at the same time because you can change it. You can change it by learning how to eat, learn what are inflammation markers, learn how to eat macro balance, learn what is good quality, quantity, and timing of food and how you spread out your nutrition in your body. That all will greatly help you with your brain health outside of your gut health and all your positive neurotransmissions with dopamine and serotonin, which is crazy, right? And there was a study that was done where they found that people who were kind of like more on the Mediterranean style of eating and Japanese style eating, where they eat really like fish and pure foods and like not a lot of processed foods, they found that people that ate like that had 25 to 35% lower risk of depression and metabolic dysfunction. And so they found that people who were eating like those cleaner foods really had better like overall mentality and better metabolisms, right? So that's why I say everything comes down to quality of food. Now, the next thing and the last part of this, so all of that sciencey things, okay, is really important. And now I'm going to dive into the more regular mindset things that you would expect to hear on a Mindset Live. But I want to cover those first part because I think that you have to understand that everything you do emotion-wise, the thoughts you choose to have that produces the energy, the synapses, the way you live your life, whether you get out, get fresh air, move, what you put in your body, in your gut system, all impact you on like a very physical level. And it's not just mindset like woo-woo up in the brain, it's actually like physically, this is proven. If you don't take care of your body and really take care of quality of food, proper workouts, proper hormone transmissions, proper neurotransmission, you will struggle with a lot of symptoms that will be coming your way. Okay. But now let's dive into mindset shifts. Okay. So we're really going to dive into the way you think. Now, one of the first things I'm going to talk about is kind of like a common struggle with menopausal women. And then I'm going to dive into 6 mindset hacks that you need to do. So one of the main mindset shifts I want menopausal women to be aware of is a lot of menopausal women approach this stage of life from a little bit like a fat loss struggle. It's such a struggle. I can't get rid of my fat. This is so tough. Feel horrible. My energy is low. And it's almost from this like, I'm struggling kind of mindset. A lot of studies have shown that if you can shift your state of mind from like the struggle kind of mindset to more of an empowerment mindset of, you know what, I'm going to master my metabolism. You know what, I'm going to get really good at understanding nutrition, hormones, metabolic function. I'm coming to listen to Clarice. I'm going to learn everything I can, about this. And you shift from more of a struggle mindset to an empowerment mindset. You will change your signaling in your brain and you will actually help your body move along better. You will actually achieve greater results, better fat loss, better, dopamine, serotonin secretions, better hormone profiling because you switch from this like, oh, I hate menopause. I'm older. Like this is horrible. To no, like I'm going to learn everything I can I can do this. I can get better. And it's proven. I mean, we have coached hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women over 50, 60, 70s, over 42 as well. But like be able to become their best and fittest selves because they learned it, because they took the time to learn it, to learn how to do macros, to learn how to spread out their nutrition, to learn how to work out the right way, right? So that's the first thing I would say. Okay. So that's one of the biggest shifts I want for menopausal women. Now I'm going to talk about 6 mindset hacks that is going to be important for you to pay attention to for you to be in a better state of mind. Okay. So first thing is you want to make sure you regularly reframe negative thoughts. Reframing is a very important skill set. It means you take a thought that does not serve you, that causes you more stress. And I'm going to give you some examples and reframing it to a better perspective. Okay. So instead of you saying, well, nothing is working, I keep gaining weight. That is a negative thought. You should be reframing it to, okay, my body is learning, adapting. I'm learning new ways of what works for my body. I'm going to seek for new knowledge and methods to help my body, right? So you shift from, oh, it's not working, I'm gaining weight to, I'm going to do something about it, right? I'm going to learn what it takes to move my body forward. And one thing I always say to all my clients and everybody who's watching on here is that, life will happen to you no matter who you are. And as you get older, unfortunately, you have aging parents, aging relatives, and a lot of people around you may be passing away. I've coached a lot of women through this because of just your age range of where you are at. And so because life will happen no matter what, it is so important that you know how to take a really tough situation. I'm not talking about even like just the little things in the daily life. The daily life, that's important because sometimes if you get stressed easily on the road or something, that's just not worth it, right? You can reframe that too. But like, I'm talking about big situations, like you actually losing your parent, you actually losing a loved one. It's in those moments, it's like, it's important that yes, it's okay to have the emotion, but you also have to reframe. You have to reframe from, like, sometimes people may be like, why did it happen? Or, I should have done this. I should have, done all of these things. And you have to reframe it to, I'm so grateful that, he's not suffering anymore. So I'm so grateful that, I got to do this with him before he passed away. Right. So I know that, these were real situations I coach a lot of my clients through. And it's like, you really have to, when it's so tough, and it's like, it's normal to have those emotions, which is energy frequency and thought patterns that you produced in your head to produce that. So that's why if you change your thought pattern, you change the electrical current and neurotransmitters that are actually sent through your brain, right? The next thing is train your brain to expect success. So this is a very important concept in actually performance psychology. The more that you are training yourself to believe and visualize that you will succeed, the more that you are firing the right electrical currents in your brain to get you there. And obviously, like Olympic athletes use a lot of this type of thing, visualization and positive, speaking the positive, speaking it before it even happens. It will actually help you have better neurotransmission, better hormonal signals in your body, which means you are more likely to succeed, which is crazy, but it has real science behind it, And when you have better neurotransmission, whether it's dopamine and serotonin or oxytocin or anything like that are in the positive realms, you will increase your hope. Like there's more hope in your life, hope, and you feel like I can do it. I can move forward. This is a thing where I always say, there's a reason why people, there's a statistic, I think it was around, and I could have this butchered, but it was in one of the studies where they talked about people who go into a structured program typically have like 40 to 50% better chance of succeeding. And there's a real reason behind it. It's yes, the structure, the system, but when people actually have a structured system and they don't have to like guess, they don't guess, like they actually have a structure thing they follow. That leads to calm, serotonin. It leads to assurance, which is like, again, serotonin, dopamine. Okay, I got this. I'm on this path. Like I'm being helped. And that those higher frequencies in your brain actually will emit itself, and you'll see results better, faster, more in alignment to what you want if you are actually on a program that helps you know what to do. If you're a person that bounces around and like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do this. I don't know. I saw this on YouTube. And then it's like, and then I hear that keto is really good. Then this person said I should do intermittent fasting. And then this person says I should do a cold plunge. And then this person says, I don't know, it's so confusing. That is going to cause the wrong neurotransmissions in your brain. That will cause adrenaline, cortisol, and all the different neurotransmitters that you don't want as much in your system. This is why having a very good structured program and also training your brain for success is important, because everything that you do matters, okay? The reason why I developed the Fierce Women Workbook was I wanted people to be like, okay, this is the framework of what it takes to change my body to become the fiercest, best body. And that you can see in those 5 sections in the workbook that this is what it takes. And then in each of these live, I give you insane, like PhD papers of like quality information to understand each section, right? Okay. The next thing is to turn stress into fuel for growth. So this is something, it is part of reframing, but I'm just specifically pointing this out, okay? No matter who you are going to experience stress. You are going to have different things in your life. If you learn to turn cortisol into a growth mindset, you will help change the hormone signals in your brain. Meaning, if you lost your luggage, and it's very stressful, it is going to be stressful. But if you change that moment into, okay, what can I do here and what can I learn next time? Like if I can grow from this, okay, one, maybe I will never take a flight with these small airlines again. These small airlines are not great. I've learned that the hard way. Two, make sure next time I pack the most essential things on my carry-on. Three, right? And I'm giving you, maybe it's kind of funny in the moment, but it's not, because it actually will happen to some of you and it's real life, that no matter what, sometimes these stressors are going to happen, and you need to, in the moment, turn that signal. In the moment, turn the cortisol signal to growth, to what can I do? What did I learn? What did I learn from this? How can I improve from this? You will actually see yourself improve a lot in terms of your mindset and in your joy, in your happiness in your life. So that is turning your stress into fuel for growth. That's number 3. Number 4 is don't compare yourself to others. This is something I speak a lot with my ladies, because it's very easy to compare yourself to other people and other people's journeys, and like, how come they can do this and I can't do it? How come they're losing their belly fat faster than I am? And this is obviously the worst emotion you can put yourself in. If you remember the different hurts in terms of energy fields, when you are in kind of dissatisfied, frustration, those emotions, your hurts and energy field really decreases. And so your energy really drops when you're in that zone. And remember, your highest energy system is when you are enlightened, when you are inspired, when you are at the top. So you don't want to drop your energy system down there. You want to stay inspired. And how you can do that is to ensure that the only person that you ever compare yourself to is yourself and your past and how you can improve. Because again, it's just not fair, right? We're all different. Somebody else's belly fat is dropping faster than you because maybe they don't have insulin resistance like you. Maybe that's it. Maybe, like I think of one of my clients, belly fat doesn't drop as fast off of her because she was born near a radioactive site and she has radioactivity in her body. And so she cannot be like, well, I'm doing more things than this person and my belly fat is not dropping as fast. And you can see how that pulls her whole energy system down, right? And it probably causing more cortisol, right? So it's very important that you control that mind and focus. Don't compare, be inspired. Look at other people and be like, wow, that's amazing. I'm so proud of that person. And you say the best things for that person. And then you turn to yourself and says, what can I do? What actions can I do to improve my situation? If you see someone who is super fit, who is very successful or whatever it is, what can you do now? What do you do that you can now improve? So only compare to yourself. Number 5 is to release black and white mindset, which means that if you are a perfectionist, that needs to stop. Okay. Now, Clarice is a recovering perfectionist. I understand that when you're a perfectionist, you want everything to be right. You want everything to go right. But as my mentor once said, perfectionism is the lowest standard you can have because you will never achieve it. So when you are trying to be perfect, or when everything has to be black and white, it has to be this way or this way, I need to find the right answer. What's the best diet? What's the best? You're very fixed. You are very I have to think a certain way. There's only one answer for it, right? And so when you are only one way of thinking about things, then you're always going to trap yourself in okay, well, I didn't go to the gym, or I can't, I'm so tired, I can't go to the gym. Instead of, okay, you're tired, so go for 15 minutes to the gym. Have a growth mindset, because an all or nothing mindset means you either do it or you don't. And that's how a lot of people fall off their programs. Either I do it or I don't, instead of being okay, what can I do? Maybe I can only do 40% of this program right now, or of what this recommended, but I can still do some of it. Okay. And then number 6 is not having a victim mindset, but a victor mindset. Okay. So this is common. It's similar to that main struggle I said about menopausal women. It's important to stay away from things that are this is happening to me, and instead reframe it to this is happening for me. Okay. So life is going to happen, like I said, no matter who you are. And you can always think, oh, this is happening to me. And like, this happened, I lost my job, and then this happened, and then like I got sick, and then like you can say all those things and be trapped in this, like, this is happening to me. And instead you go, well, no, awesome. Well, I lost my job so I can find a better one. I lost my job so that I can actually, like, that job was so stressful anyway. So I'm going to find something even better, and you can always reframe out of a victim mindset to a victor mindset. And very commonly for menopausal women is, oh, I don't like the way my body is changing. I don't like this or that. And it's like changing it to like, this is happening for me. It's so awesome that I can learn how to take better care of my body better than when I was in my 20s. I have so many of my clients who actually say they're healthier and look even better in their body than when they were in their 20s. And the last thing here that I want to talk about that will help you all have better mindset control is the concept of ownership. There's a book actually called Extreme Ownership, if you ever get a chance to read it. And it is the concept of you absolutely own everything that is happening in your life, which means that you own every action. So if you chose to eat inflammatory markers, you have to own that action, and it's okay. You're bloated or your belly fat is there, but you chose to eat it. So you have to own the action, if you chose to skip multiple workouts, then you have to own that. And if you don't have the results, it's not to anybody else's responsibility, but yours. And so when you have an ownership mindset, you take away the need to put anybody else in charge of your life except yourself. You are in charge of your life, which means when you have full ownership, you are more empowered. Again, that enlightened emotion that I said at the high level, you are more empowered to go seek for help. You're more empowered to say, I want to be better. So I am going to change this part of my life to move towards a better outcome. Okay. Ownership, if the moment you fully take ownership of your life is when you fully have full control of the outcomes of your life. So put ownership mindset if you're like, I want to own my life more. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to stay overweight. I don't want to have belly fat. I don't want to have hormonal imbalance. I don't want to have all these things. You have control in it. And yes, you may need some help. Yes, you may need some guidance, but you are the one that owns that action. That's a wrap for today in regards to, I went through a lot of different things. And the last thing I will say is if you struggle with mindset, I want you to put mindset below, because this is why I believe in holistic coaching, is that holistic coaching is not just about go work out. And it's also not just follow this food plan. Holistic coaching is that someone actually cares about the way you think, your mindset, how you think and feel and process things will affect a lot of your outcomes and your results. And if you want the fittest, fiercest body, mindset is key. So put mindset below if you're like, I need to work on mindset. Okay. And as we wrap up, the last thing is please put your name down below or put a challenge below. If you want to be part of our Valentine Ready challenge for next week, that will include a workout, nutrition, and mindset portion to this challenge. And, I know everybody always requests, I want nutrition, I want workout, I want mindset. So I'm like, okay, let's put it all together. Okay. And you can bring me roses later for Valentine's Day. Okay. I love all of you. Hopefully you found it was helpful. I hope this was enlightening and it allowed you to have some shifts in your mindset. And awesome. And I will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fierce and Fit Mentor podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit the follow button on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, or wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If something in this episode resonated with you, please leave a review or share it with a friend who'd love it too. Your support means the world and helps us reach more amazing women like you. Until next time, stay fierce, stay fit, and let's keep building your most powerful self.